I love this time of year, when we hear stories of ghosts, goblins, ghouls, and the dark creatures of the night. Myths are fun, but if you ask me, the closer to home the horror is, the scarier it becomes. Who's really afraid of a hydra lurking around a corner, ready to tear you apart with each of its heads? No, the real monsters are human, and the more noble they seem, the darker their story tends to be. Take Frankenstein, for example. The good doctor sought to cure the ultimate illness, death itself. In his divine ambition, he robbed graves and played God. Perhaps his greatest sin was that he actually succeeded. His creature, lost, hurt, and confused, took life. But what could we expect from something assembled from the dead and thrust into the world unloved? Even today, modern medicine cannot always claim to be holier than Frankenstein. Many doctors have done worse than that fictional man, yet with far poorer results. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a tale of one such doctor, a man few know about. He's not far removed from others in his field, yet he may be one of the greatest monsters of them all. This story also has a heroine and a mentor, one who may have traded truth for his own legacy. There is blood, there is death, and in the end, it was all swept neatly under the rug, until a century later. It was 1907, an era of discovery and advancement in medicine. Our young monster had just been appointed to the New Jersey State Hospital at Trenton. He wanted to do good, to cure what he saw as mental illness. He believed insanity was caused by focal infections, that bacteria in the mouth could drive a person mad. Perhaps he wanted to help. Perhaps he craved fame, prestige, or immortality in the medical journals. Whatever his motive, he began performing experimental surgeries and claimed miraculous results. His mentor, a prominent psychiatrist, toasted him. Other doctors grew envious and tried to replicate his findings, unsuccessfully. Our monster's process was chillingly simple. If a patient suffered from mental illness, remove their bad teeth. If that didn't help, remove the good ones. Next came the tonsils, then the spleen, and if that failed, parts or all of the colon and reproductive organs. He believed that other doctors simply didn't go far enough or waited too long. The psychiatric community grew uneasy. His mentor, who was then president of the American Psychiatric Association, sent one of his brightest students to investigate. Enter our heroine. She was ethical, determined to shine light into the shadows. Yet for her honesty, she was met with hostility. She was placed among male inmates, treated with disdain, and denied access to vital information. Still, with perseverance, she completed her report, and it was damning. Mortality rates of up to 40%. No real evidence of improvement. Falsified data. You'd think that would have been the end. But the mentor, too proud to face public shame for backing his protege, buried the report. For a while, the cover-up held, but rumors spread and scrutiny closed in. Desperate, our monster even performed surgeries on his own children, extracting their teeth, perhaps as proof of faith in his theory. Time was running out. Under immense pressure, he suffered a breakdown and, in a grotesque act of obsession, pulled out his own teeth. Soon after, he died of a heart attack. Hailed as a hero by international medical journals, praised as a pioneer in the treatment of mental illness. And just like that, it was over. Everything swept under the rug. Thousands mutilated, hundreds dead. All because of one man's theory. One he could never prove, but refused to let go of. And yes, this all really happened. After the war, I was sent to guard an old monastery in the hills of what used to be Yugoslavia. Most of the buildings had been damaged by shelling. The roofs were open to the weather, and the bell tower leaned to one side like a broken spine. There was no electricity, just fog, stone, and the sound of rain on old tiles. I was the only soldier stationed there. My orders were simple: keep watch, make sure no looters or deserters came through, and report once a week. The first few nights were quiet, cold, but quiet. I slept in a small room near the chapel. The walls smelled of wax and damp earth. The bell rang for the first time 3 nights after I arrived. It was exactly 3:03 a.m. 3 tolls. Slow, hollow. The kind of sound that travels through your body instead of your ears. I went to check the tower, but the ropes were still tied. The bell should not have moved at all. I wrote it in my report, but nobody replied. Every night after that, it rang again. Always at 3:03, always 3 times. The air would change when it happened. The fog outside would thicken until it looked solid. Sometimes I thought I saw shapes in it, small, twisted figures moving across the courtyard just beyond the edge of the light. I told myself it was only the mist. One night, I went out with my flashlight. I stood beneath the tower and waited. When the bell started to move, I looked up. There was no wind. The rope didn't move, but the bell did. I saw the clapper swinging on its own, slow and heavy, and from the fog, I heard whispering. They weren't words I recognized, just low, broken murmurs like a prayer in a language that wasn't meant for the living. My flashlight flickered, and I saw them, dozens of figures kneeling beneath the bell. Their clothes were old, soaked with mud. Their eyes were white, completely white. They didn't look at me, just kept moving their lips as if praying. I froze. One of them turned its head slightly toward me and said very softly, "Do not be afraid, brother. We only came to pray." Then the bell rang a 4th time. The sound was sharp, metallic, like a scream. The fog collapsed in on itself, and the courtyard was empty. The figures were gone. The ground where they had knelt was wet, darker than the rain. I don't think it was just water. When morning came, the abbot appeared at my door. I hadn't heard him approach. He looked old, older than any man I'd ever seen. His eyes were gray and empty, like the sky before a storm. He asked if I had prayed with them. I said no. He nodded once and said quietly, "Next time you must." That night, the bell didn't ring. The night after, it did. 3 times. Then silence. But when I went outside, there was only one shadow under the bell, tall, thin, and waiting. It looked up, and for a second, I thought I saw the abbot's face. It's been years since then. Every October 31st, I hear it again. 3 tolls. Then the whisper, "Brother, it's time to pray." And when I do, the air grows heavy, and I can almost see them forming in the fog again, kneeling beneath the bell, waiting for me to join them. I know that one night, I will. It happened a few weeks ago. One day, during school hours, my mother and the kindergarten teachers saw something horrifying on our campus. The place is large. It has an apartment where we live, an open ground, a separate college building, our school, and a kindergarten block in front. My mother was in the AV room doing her work. My friends were playing outside, and my class was in the computer lab. That's when a strange person, we couldn't even tell if it was a man or woman, walked straight into the school. They had a thick white cloth wrapped completely around their head, so thick that there was no way to see through it. Yet they walked in a perfect straight line, right into our campus. My mother was the first to see them. She said the moment she did, a terrible feeling came over her. Not just fear, something deeper, something she couldn't explain. The kind of fear that makes you want to lock yourself inside and hide. But she couldn't. She was the coordinator. Everyone relied on her. Panicked, she rushed out and told the cleaner to lock the kindergarten gate. The cleaner obeyed immediately. Then my mother alerted the others, and the PE teachers chased the stranger out. The security guards, as usual, were useless. A day passed, and we went to bed like normal. School was over, night had fallen. Our dog was inside, the cat asleep on the bed. Everything calm. Sleep came easily, until the dog started barking. It wasn't his normal bark. It was strange, harsh, angry, like he'd seen something no one else should see. We woke up, groggy. My mother went to calm him down, but he kept barking. I stood by the door trying to quiet him when the feeling came again, that same fear my mother had described. She tried to be brave. Parents have to be, and went to comfort him. Then she heard noises outside. Drawing the curtain, she looked out. Nothing. But the feeling of wrongness was still there. Our dog was only 5 months old, a puppy. But no puppy barks like that unless something is terribly wrong. When she opened the door, she found that others in the building were awake too. Everyone had heard it, and then we learned the truth. The stranger from the day before, the one wrapped in white, had returned. Before she could enter the building, the drivers chased her away, all the way to the pond near the edge of campus. There, she collapsed beneath a tree and sat there for 2 days. Why? Nobody knew. Maybe nobody should know. When they finally unwrapped her cloth with a stick, they saw that she was a woman, dark-skinned, silent, and staring. That night, she came back. She went to one of the teachers' homes and began banging on their window, softly at first, then louder and louder, until she moved to the door. She held the railings and swayed back and forth, humming a strange tune. Then she bent her body forward, almost hanging, and whispered something before she left. We think she came up to our floor next. My dog must have sensed her before anyone else did. That's why he barked so violently. Maybe it was his barking that scared her away. My mother came back inside and told me someone was there. I was panicking, trying to find my glasses, which had somehow disappeared. I later found them under my blanket, where I hadn't left them. She took the dog and went downstairs. Outside, the teachers, our principal, her son, and a few college staff had gathered. I stood at the doorway, alert, watching their shadows moving at the far end of the road. I strained to hear their voices. Then suddenly, a loud moan cut through the air, sharp and shrill. I froze. Then another, and another. Then silence. After a few moments, everyone returned, smiling. My dog was the hero that night. They told us the woman was mentally unstable but could speak perfectly. Earlier that evening, around 6 p.m., my mother and I had actually seen her, sitting under a tree, staring at our school gates. The gates closed before 6. That means she must have come in earlier and hidden somewhere inside. When the adults confronted her, she cursed at them. She said she was from a faraway place, a place where we had once lived. My mother was the first to react. With the stick in her hand, she struck the woman on the leg, the same moment we'd heard that scream. The others joined in, and together they chased her away. My dog ran after her, dragging my mother along with his leash. You'd think that would be the end of it, that she'd never come back. But you'd be wrong, because the next morning, she returned.